ए अल्लाह हमको सिरातल मुस्तकीम पर चला, हिदायत फरमा कि जिसके ऊपर वो लोग हैं जिसके ऊपर तेरी मर्सी, तेरा इनाम है. The one who has been rewarded by you. The Imam, the Anbiya and Awliya. हमको इसके पीछे पीछे चला, हमको इमाम के पीछे पीछे चला, हमको अंबिया व औलिया के पीछे पीछे चला. और हमारे गिनान में फरमाया गया है कि पीर पुछी ने चलवानो, हमको हमारे पीरों की तालीमात के पीछे पीछे चला. क्यों? कि they are the one who has received the reward and they are the one who are on the right path, one with the mercy of the Imam and Allah. तो हमको उसके पीछे पीछे चला. Not on those कि जो फितना खड़ा करते हैं, जो काफिरून है या जो मुनाफिक है, उनके पीछे पीछे नहीं. यानी कि वो भी चल रहे हैं लेकिन हम दुआ करते हैं कि हमको उनके पीछे नहीं चलाना. ऐसा ना हो कि हम उनके पीछे चलने लगे कि जो हमको गलत रास्ते के ऊपर ले जाए, आउट ऑफ द सिरातल मुस्तकीम ऑन टू द रॉन्ग पैथ. हमको उसके पीछे नहीं चलाना. और उनके पीछे भी नहीं कि जो सिरे से ही तुझे नहीं मानते हैं. So let's talk about these three people. या मौला हमको उनके पीछे चलाना कि जिसके ऊपर तेरी मर्सी और तेरा रिवॉर्ड है. हमको उनके पीछे नहीं चलाना कि जिसके ऊपर तेरी मर्सी और रिवॉर्ड नहीं है, हमको उसके पीछे नहीं चलाना. और ना ही हमको उनके पीछे चलाना कि जो सिरे से तुझे नहीं मानते हैं. Who are we? हम किसके पीछे चल रहे हैं? कि हम कुछ ऐसे लोगों की बातें सुनते हैं जो इमाम को सिरे से ही नहीं मानते हैं, या हम कुछ ऐसे लोगों की बात करते हैं कि जो इमाम को मानते हैं लेकिन गलत रास्ते के ऊपर चल रहे हैं, या हम ऐसे लोगों के पीछे चल रहे हैं कि जो इमाम के पीछे हकीकत के अंदर सोच समझ के चलते हैं. आपने देखा, दिस इज द बातिन ऑफ आवर दुआ विद द सूरह अल-हम्द. What did we understand? They start with the name of Allah, who is Rahman and Rahim, and that is today for our Imam and Imam only. अब हम अली के फरमान के मुताबिक अपनी दुआ का आगाज करते हैं उस अल्लाह के नाम से जिसको हमने देखा है, जिसको हम पहचानते हैं, जिसको हमने सुना है और जिसके पीछे पीछे हमने बैयत की है. उस अल्लाह के पीछे हम चलते हैं, उस अल्लाह के नाम से हम आगाज करते हैं. ये है बातीन हमारे तरीके का, हमारी दुआ का. I wanted to read a few faramin before we stop today's session, so we can move forward next time, and inshallah we will discuss more and more batin of our tariqah. Maulana Hazir Imam in Houston in 1986, there was a 3 days of darbar and mercy and didar of the Imam on USA Jamaat. May recite the salawat Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Mullah says, I am saying to you as your Imam today, if you are successful in your search, in your personal search, you will find that light so strong, so clearly identified that you will know that you have been successful. If you are successful, the link should get shorter and shorter and shorter during your lifetime, in such a manner that ultimately there is only light, and no matter, that is when your life becomes eternal, that is when you are physically no longer. Now that image is an image. I want you to keep in your minds. Remember that this is a matter of the soul and the spirit. जो हम बात कर रहे थे कि ये हमारे बातिन की बात है, हमारे सोल की बात है. It's a matter of the soul and that of the spirit. It has got nothing to do with the physical environment. इसका ज़ाहिर से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. You may be confused in finding the light, but you will not be confused that the light is there. आज maybe we are confused about the batin of our tariqa. We may not understand the batin of our tariqa. But once you understand the meaning of our tariqa, believe me, you will not be confused. You will know the batin of our tariqa. I'm going to give you another example physically, and then we will read one of the Imam's Farman again. If you think of yourself, and if you have a photo album in your homes, if you look at your picture when you were born, when you were 1 year old, 5 year old, 10 year old, 20 year old, and whatever age you are today, what do you see? You see your physical keep changing. What did not change? Your soul, your name, your essence, your original never changed. But your physical look and the feel and the body keep changing. What are we learning from this example? When you were born, your mother, father took you to Jamaat-e-Hana, did the bayat. When you were 1 year old, 5 year old, 10 year old, you keep doing same thing over and over and over again. If your physical tariqa and following of your religion never ever changes, that would be the example of a child who never ever grow. अगर वो कभी भी बड़ा नहीं होता है, never receives the nourishment and never grow in his body, what would we call that person? We will say this person has some kind of defect and his body, his physical body and feel never changes. वो static है, एक जगह पर रुक गया है. We don't want that, do we? We want us to grow physically in our body. We want it to grow spiritually in our soul, and we want it to grow intellectually in our mind. And we have been doing this throughout our life. लेकिन जब मज़हब की बात आती है, we have not grown. हम वही कर रहे हैं जो हम 1 साल करते थे, 5 साल में करते थे, 10 साल में करते थे. आज जो भी हमारी उम्र है 20, 30, 40, 50, we have not grown in our tariqa, in our religion, in our physical ibadat. That is not normal, that is not natural. How come we are not paying attention to our spiritual growth as we have on our physical growth? अगर आज भी हम वही दुआ पढ़ते हैं जो हम 5 साल की उम्र में पढ़ते थे, और आज भी हम वही दुआ पढ़ते हैं, वही गिनान पढ़ते हैं, वही फरमान पढ़ते हैं जो हम 10, 15, 20 साल की उम्र में पढ़ते थे, but we have never grown into our tariqa, into our batin of our tariqa, that is unnatural. And our tariqah is a natural, dynamic tariqah. So let's read one more of Maulana Hazrat Imam Salawatullah Alayhi's Farman. London, 6 August 1994. When you are born with a soul. That moment, Allah gives you life. Each individual has a soul. That is the only part of the individual which is eternal. And therefore, caring for that soul is important part of the individual's passage into the physical life and out of the physical life. Do we see what Imam is saying? And do we look at ourselves what we are doing? We are only and only caring for our physical being, our physical body, our physical life, our physical happiness. But Imam is saying something else. Imam is saying, no, when you are born with a soul. And that is the only part which is eternal. And that's the only part you should be caring about. Not about your physical, but about your soul. Kyunki wo eternal hai. When you care for your physical life, and when you do everything physically, then you are already wasting your life away. Because your permanent life was your spiritual life, for which you have not done anything. I'm going to read one of other Mulabas Farman, and I think we should stop at that point. This is early on in India, September-October visit of Maulana Hazrat Imam Salawatullah Alayhi, 1962. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. You may have had on worldly happiness by having children, success in business, or you may have seen good days of your life. But remember that nothing can be compared with the true happiness that you will achieve in prayers. You should aim at that. कौन सी हैप्पीनेस की तरफ तवज्जो देनी है, एम करना है? स्पिरिचुअल हैप्पीनेस की तरफ, द ट्रू हैप्पीनेस की तरफ. Are we doing that? So let's start with this question. Are we doing that? So we have a few minutes. We are open for comments and questions. And inshallah, we will continue this subject next week as well. Thank you for the question again. It was a beautiful question, and I would like to see more of those in the days before the next Sunday class. Bismillah. जो भी comment है, question है, please go ahead. So if you have no question or no comments, तो मुझे इसके ऊपर जब तक आप सोच रहे हैं क्वेश्चन और कमेंट्स का, मुझे एक जोक याद आ गया. तो आपकी इजाज़त से, आई नो ये बहुत सीरियस सब्जेक्ट है, लेकिन कभी कभार ईद का दिन है, कुछ जोक भी हो सकता है. एक मर्तबा नाचीज़ ऐसी ही एक क्लास के अंदर बैठा हुआ था. बहुत ही सीरियस टॉक हुई, सब लोग संजीदा थे. आखिर में नाचीज़ ने पूछा, for the English audience, at one time I was sitting in a class just like today, very serious class, very high level class. At the end I asked, does anyone have any comments or question? Everybody with a serious face, nobody said a single word. On that, I said, so this is telling me two things. I don't know which one is correct. And that's where the joke comes in. Either you are not asking question because you did not understand a single thing, or because you have understood everything? या तो आप कुछ भी नहीं समझे इसलिए क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ रहे हैं, या तो आप सब कुछ समझ गए हैं इसलिए क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ रहे हैं. तो दिस वाज अ हम्बल जोक जस्ट टू लाइटन इट अप. तो क्या बात है कि कोई कमेंट और क्वेश्चन नहीं है? क्या सब कुछ समझ गए हैं? जी 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 जी.
I got a small comment to make. I was doing a bit of reading about Hamiduddin Kirmani at the time of Imam Hakim bi Amrillah, and Imam Hakim bi Amrillah was the 16th Imam, and Kirmani was the Hujjah at that time. And when he came to Egypt, he saw the dawah and everything, and at that time a major part of his assignment was to explain to the Jamaat what is Zahir and Batin. So this is exactly the same thing. It goes all along our history. Even 1,000 years ago, the Dais and the Imam were concerned that the Jamaat knows about these concepts, and of course we saw in Farmans, Imam, Hazar Imam and everybody go on telling us the same thing, just showing how important it is for the nourishment of our soul. Just a simple comment.
Thank you, Dr. Saib. Any other comments or question? Ji, Bismillah.
Thank you so much for an excellent session. I do have a question. I believe in one of the Firmans, if I'm remembering correctly, Sultan Muhammad Shah has talked about like soul friends and identifying soul friends. If you can elaborate on that, that would be greatly appreciated, because I feel like it goes along with the topic that we were talking about today, where, you know, talking about eternal world and caring for the soul, which is timeless. Yeah, if you have any thoughts or comments.
Yeah, thank you, Mina. This Farman is that when I see you, Mullah says, when I see you, I see the soul friend, meaning your soul is my friend, and when I see you, I see my friend, which is your soul. जब हम आपको देखते हैं तो हम अपनी रूह दोस्त को देखते हैं. So, when we see with our physical being and not minding anything of the spiritual, what do we see when we see each other? We see each other body, the physical being. But if we have our spiritual eye, the eye of our heart open, what would we see? We would see what Imam would see. What Imam sees in us, not our physical body. To Imam, it doesn't matter we are 1 year old or 60-year-old. To Imam, it doesn't matter we are rich or poor, we are beautiful or not so beautiful. What Imam sees is in us. Imam sees the soul which is from him, the Imam. So he sees his friend, the soul, because all of us are from one single soul of the Imam. Where does he say we are in one single soul from the Imam? In the Quran, Surah Nisa, ayat number 1. And also, जब हम कहते हैं वकुल्ल शहीन असनाउ फी इमाम मुबीन, we are all encompassed in the Imam, not with our physical body, with our soul we are one, and one with the Imam. So that's what Imam sees. With this Farman, Imam is telling us what? Imam is telling us to become the friend of your soul. First, of your own soul, and then the friend of the soul of the other mu'mineen around you. That is the talimat in this Farman. Very beautiful comment and question to bring to our attention. Thank you. Anyone else?
Sir, I have 2 questions.
Ji.
I have 2 questions. The first one is a little bit more theoretical. The second one's more of a practical matter. So I'll start with the first one. I think it's more interesting. You spoke about Rahman and the difference between Rahman and Rahim. And as I understand it, and sometimes you'll find, especially in some Ismaili texts, that Rahman has a special significance. So much so that even in the Quran you have a verse that says, call upon Allah or call upon Rahman. So Rahman is seen to be given a special honor as a name. But then I'm also wondering in Surah 25, Ayat 60, there's a verse where it says, and when it is said to them, prostrate to Ar-Rahman, prostrate to the most merciful, they say, and what is Ar-Rahman? Should we prostrate to that which you order us? And it increases them in aversion. So I'm just curious here, is that what was the issue with Rahman that people did not understand what the Prophet meant by prostrate to Rahman, that they should ask him what is Rahman, especially if they are Arab speakers, they would understand that Rahman's meaning is the merciful. Why were they afraid to or unwilling to prostrate to Rahman, and what does it mean that it increases them in their aversion?
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So, what I had not opened was the Batin of the Batin. The question that you are asking is the Batin of the Batin, or the deeper understanding of the word Rahman and Rahim. So if you give me the permission and give me that next week lecture, then let's cover, because it will not be covered in next 30 seconds or 1 minute or 2 minutes. So remember this question, and we will start with this question next week, so we can cover the second layer of the Batin of Surah Al-Hamd, and especially the word Rahman and Rahim. Thank you.
Okay, and then the second question is more of a practical matter. If we're saying to understand the Batin of our tariqah, and here we have the example of the dua, and we can see, a good 45 minutes was spent on Surah Hamd, and I think that's also just touching the surface. But so the question is that in the Imam's Farman from, I guess, 1960s or so, when he mentioned that we should know the esoteric meaning of our dua, or at least some of us who have that interest are able to, he had mentioned that it takes many years of hard work and study, but that the associations and the schools, I guess the religious education schools, will be able to help us in this matter. So my question, I think, is related to the initial question of seeing the Batin of our tariqah is, if that's the case, how would you recommend, or what is the way that one is able to study these deeper meanings and significance of the dua? Time is just mostly given superficial translations and maybe very light explanation. So as an Ismaili, how do we get this knowledge of these words and terms of the esoteric of the dua?
In the same Farman of London, which I quoted in this class a few minutes ago, Mullah says, it is the personal search. This is the underlined word, personal search. This knowledge is only for those who are interested in the Batin of our tariqah. Otherwise, why would we get up early in the morning on Sunday, only 20, 30, 40 of us, and do a personal search, wanted to learn the Batin of our tariqah? It is not for everybody. It is not. Look at the world. 7.6 billion people. 1.2 Muslims. Look at 1.2 Muslims, 1.2 billion Muslim, only 12 million Ismailis. And then out of 12 million Ismailis, here we sit about 20 of us trying to find the Batin of our tariqah and our dua. It is not for everyone. I would ask someone to look up a Quranic ayat in which Allah says कि अक्सरियत जाहिल होती है, the most are ignorant. This is the principle of the Quran. Only few are with the ilm and the wisdom, because there are only few who does the personal search. ये individual habit and interest की बात है. So those who are interested will do this, who are not will not even pay attention because they are happy with the physical happiness and physical rites and rituals and physical being. They have no other way of meaning or other interest into going into Batin. Very good question. And we should cover this also in our next class. This will be very interesting too. Thank you. Write down this both question and send it to me so I will remember and we will cover again in our next session.
Thank you.
Thank you. If यहाँ पर हम रोकते हैं अगर और कोई क्वेश्चन कमेंट नहीं है और इंशाल्लाह ईद मुबारक सबको और हम नेक्स्ट वीक दोबारा से इसी टॉपिक को कंटिन्यू करेंगे या अली मदद
Ya Ali Madad, and thank you. Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak to everybody.